Hi there, my name is Electric Johnny Hat, and I just want to do a few things on biology. Got into biology, I've been into science a few years, well quite a few years actually, been researching for quite a few years, been posting on my last YouTube channel for 3 years, but really got into biology seriously about a year ago. And just trying to just give people some alternative on science of biology. Yeah, big fan of science, all sciences really, but like I say, biology for me I've got into recently. So going to start with I've done this before quite a few times. On Instagram, I've got it on Instagram, it stayed up, but on Facebook they keep removing it. And basically anything I talk about on biology on Facebook they remove. Comments, just trying to give people some better perspectives on biology and stuff. But yeah, Facebook just removed them. Is that a good sign or a bad sign? I don't know. But they keep doing it. But on Instagram they've kept them up. But my last YouTube channel was deleted by YouTube for talking about this kind of stuff, or this kind of science and other sciences as well. Try to keep it truthful. Well, I like to keep it truthful because that's the way things should be done. I'm not into lies and manipulation of lies and manipulations of biology or chemistry or any kind of them kind of sciences. I'm not into that rubbish. I just want to give better perspectives on science. And today we're doing biology. So yeah, this is the flat Earth model that the flat Earth community have put out. Who started it I really don't know, but I looked into the flat Earth for a couple of years, and yeah, I don't believe it. I'm not a fan of it. I think there's simple explanations for these kind of sciences. This is biology. So this is the flat Earth model. It's the Hebrew model, which the flat earthers have put out as a flat Earth. And they've added a load of stuff in there as well. But this is it's not a flat Earth. It's basically your head. This is your skull. This is your membrane. This is the cerebrospinal fluid that runs all the way down the Great Deep. And the cerebrospinal fluid protects the brain and the spine of the 33 vertebrae that goes down the Great Deep. The Great Deep is the 33 vertebrae of the spine, but the cerebrospinal fluid has to protect the brain and the spine and the skull, which runs all the way down into the Great Deep. The Great Deep is your 33 vertebrae. And the reason they call it the Great Deep is because of the fluid that is protecting the 33 vertebrae, your spine. This is a skull, this is a membrane, this is a cerebrospinal fluid. These have just been added by the flat Earth community, whoever put this together. This is your brain here, that's your brain. Skull, membrane, cerebrospinal fluid that goes all the way down the Great Deep to protect your 33 vertebrae. This is your brain. This is not a flat Earth model. The heavens, the God, the heaven of heavens is the top of the skull, which is the fontanelle, and the Great Deep is the perineum. Electricity and that electricity, we are electrical beings, and electricity comes through the fontanelle and goes out of the perineum. It's the torus. The torus goes in the perineum and out, in the fontanelle and out the perineum. This is the skull, and when the baby is born, we have to protect this soft part of the brain. the soft part, well, yeah, the brain and the skull, but mainly the skull, because this is the soft part. And even if you reach up to the top of your head, you still have that soft part there. But we have to protect this soft part when the baby is born, because it's very sensitive. The fentanyl. This is not a flat Earth model. It's just been manipulated by whoever started the rumours that it's a flat Earth model, and it's not a flat Earth model at all. Okay, just wanted to say that. These have all been added. It's just part one of the talk I'm doing on biology, and I'm going to move on now to, well, I'm going to stop this and obviously turn the camera around and talk about other stuff to do with biology. Thank you. Hi there, just going to do part two. I just did the part one there on the flat Earth model, which is based on biology. Excuse the sirens. I live right next to a hospital, so ambulances are coming through all the time. And we get a lot of sirens these days, isn't it? It's like everybody's ill. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm going to just do a couple more things on biology. My glasses straight. A couple more things on biology. Damn them sirens. So, right, I just want to move on to, okay, without sounding crude, just want to move on to biology, which is going to be based on sperm. Shouldn't be embarrassed. Nobody should be embarrassed or to talk about this kind of stuff because it's biology. So we'll talk about sperm and when a man ejaculates. Firstly, as we all know, that we are electrical beings, like I just explained as well on the flat Earth model I was showing, that it's based on biology, on the head and the skull and the cerebrospinal fluid. Well, the cerebral spinal fluid comes into play on this one as well when it's to do with a man's ejaculation. Firstly, like I said, we are electrical beings, so a male orgasm is basically an electric shock, and only a male can relate to that, obviously. A woman's is completely different. It's more of a wave, but we're not talking about a woman's biology today. We're not talking about a woman's orgasm today. We're talking about a man's orgasm. And a man's orgasm is an electric shock. We are electrical beings. As crazy as that sounds to people, but when you actually do get into biology, you hear a lot of crazy things that are not actually crazy, they're facts. But to the average person that doesn't do research on biology or the truth in biology, it does sound crazy. Of course. But it's all biology. Right, so when a man actually ejaculates, we are taught in school or by the educational system that the fluid comes from the testicles. Yes and no. It's more a 50-50 thing. So when a man ejaculates, this is biology, so you know, it will sound crude, but it's just biology, okay? Just like the sex education in school, it was always embarrassing to either talk about for the teacher or listen to from the students. But when a man ejaculates, he ejaculates two forms of liquid. We are taught in the educational system that it's only one that comes from the testicles. Well, no. When a man ejaculates, he ejaculates two forms of fluid. One comes from the sperm, actually comes from the testicles, which a man ejaculates, but the second part of fluid that comes out together, and only a man would understand this, obviously, maybe women too, you know, because women are observant, obviously. But a man ejaculates part one fluid from the testicles, and the other part of fluid comes from the cerebrospinal fluid. Sorry, two forms of liquid. So one comes from the testicles, and the other comes from the cerebrospinal fluid, which is the same fluid that is protecting the brain that I explained about on the last talk I just did, or the last first part of biology I showed, it's a cerebral spinal fluid that protects the brain and goes all the way down to the vertebrae vertebrae. So the cerebrospinal fluid is protecting the brain, the skull, and the separation of the membrane of the skull and the brain. So your brain is literally floating around in the cerebral spinal fluid. But it also goes down the great deep, like I explained a little while ago. It goes all the way down the vertebrae vertebrae. And the vertebrae vertebrae is connected to the penis. The bottom of the coccyx and then goes further to connection of the penis. Understand what I'm saying now? So maybe you understand a bit better now. When a man ejaculates, 2 forms of liquid. One from the testicles, and the other part from the cerebral spinal fluid, which is basically the cerebral spinal fluid. They won't teach you this in the They will not teach you this in the educational system. They just won't. There's a lot of sciences that we have natural law science, and then we have the rubbish that we are taught, which is complete rubbish. So I just wanted to mention that about biology of a man when he ejaculates. He doesn't ejaculate 1 form of liquid, he ejaculates 2 forms of liquid. 2, not just 1, 2. Also, I want to move on to the rumours of, which is it's becoming more and more aware for people now, on this part of biology of when somebody dies, when anybody dies, the weight that the person weighs before they dies, and they've done tests on this, that when a person dies, they lose 21 grams of weight. So before they die, this is their weight, and when they pass, as soon as they pass, 21 grams is missing from that body, from life to death. Now, the rumour goes around that it's the soul that weighs 21 grams. How can this be so? The soul is light. The soul can't weigh anything, it's light. So how does the soul, or light of the soul, when it allegedly leaves our body, would weigh 21 grams? I don't believe that at all, it's just a rumour. I believe it's the yellow plasma that evaporates out of our skin when we die. That, I believe, is the 21 grams of weight that's missing from life to death. So when you die, that 21 grams is the yellow plasma that leaves your body. Naturally, natural law. Now, when my nan passed a few years back, my nan, all the family was at the hospital, and she was dying, obviously. And by the time I got there late, and I missed her. She passed, and I missed her. I didn't get to see her before she passed. I saw her a couple of weeks before, but everybody, the whole family's at the hospital, and I missed my nan. I missed her, she died. So I got there, I was absolutely devastated. But the point I'm making here is not really about my nan's, well, it is about my nan's death, but when I walked in to see her, all the family's around her bedside, obviously in the hospital, and the first thing I noticed, obviously was my nan was dead, I missed her, but the first thing I noticed about my nan was blood was just being naturally extracted from her, yellow plasma was evaporating. So this yellow liquid was evaporating all out of my nan's pores, from her face, from her hands, from her arms, all the bits of flesh that I could see. But I'm assuming it was leaking all out of her skin. It was a yellow fluid. And I said to the family, what's that? And obviously they don't know. They goes, ask the nurse. I asked the nurse, and the nurse wouldn't give me an answer. Whether she didn't know, which she probably does know, or she's not allowed to talk about those kind of things. Biology, natural law biology. So the reason I'm saying this is I saw my nan just after she passed. I missed her by minutes. And the first thing I saw was all this yellow fluid leaking from the pores of her skin. I believe it was yellow plasma that was evaporating out of the body naturally. So I believe the yellow plasma that's in each of our bodies is the 21 grams that is missing from life to death, not the soul, because the soul is light, and light doesn't weigh anything. So the soul can't weigh anything because it's light. So yeah, just 3 things on biology there. I will do more, but this is just running to nearly 20 minutes now. So I mean, I will do more on biology. I'm packed with facts with biology because I've researched biology over the last year or so and started talking about it, these kind of things into biology, just to put people straight, and with these lies or rumours that get pushed around about biology, and they get pushed onto something else, whether it's the mainstream that just refuse to talk about, or they won't talk about this kind of stuff, or like I said, you won't hear about this stuff in the educational system. You just won't. There's a lot of science that just is not talked about properly in the educational system. They're not allowed to, because there's a natural law way of doing things, a natural law of things of all sciences, and there's made up fairy tales that they want to push for people, for the people the world's population that they don't want people to know about. I'm sure the teachers and that from the educational system don't actually know the truth on these things either, because they are only taught what they are taught as a teacher from a main textbook. My name's Alleged Johnny Hat. Thank you for listening, as always, and I love you all. Speak to you all soon. I had to keep my voice down because it's quite late. It's 11 o'clock. Thank you very much.